Hello, everyone. Good evening. Thank you very much for joining. I hope you're all doing well. It is under grave circumstances that I am delivering this broadcast. It is D-Day today. Trump's deadline is expiring 8 p.m. Eastern time. Unless there's a fifth. I'm forgetting the word. A fifth, deadline. He may delay it again. It remains to be seen, but the way that he's tweeting is not promising. It's not comforting. Welcome, everyone. Okay, so as you can see on the bottom left of your screen, the focus for right now is the oil positions. We've been buying West Texas oil since $65 a barrel on the 26th of February, about 2 days before the conflict broke out. And then after having taken profits off of the initial surge to around $95, then re-entered the market at 83, 86, 94, 99, and 101. I've since closed some of those positions, but have these ones remaining open. Lots of sources and various analysts are pointing towards a possible $130 in the price, $150, maybe even $200. So there's a lot of room for this to go, really, and unfortunately, I think we might just be seeing the beginning of it. So West Texas oil broke out of its 3-week $110 ceiling on Thursday and had a 12% single-day rally, and is now holding just below the war all-time high at $115 into tonight's deadline. Thursday's 12% rally to settle at $111 was the largest single-day move since the first week of the war. It cleared the ascending triangle resistance at $110 that had capped every rally since mid-March. Trump's Wednesday evening pledge of more aggressive action against Iran over the next 2 to 3 weeks with no plan to reopen Hormuz was the trigger that caused this. The breakout, it carried West Texas oil to a session high of $115 on Tuesday. The picture is bigger than the Strait of Hormuz here, though, because Reuters have confirmed last week that 40% of Russian oil export capacity is offline from sustained Ukrainian drone strikes on various facilities, the most severe disruption to Russian oil supply in modern history. Bloomberg have said that there's a 43% week-on-week export collapse from March 22nd to March 29th. The Russian release valve markets had been pricing in is now constrained. So the asymmetry here favors longs. Above 115.46 opens the path to 124.91. This is a Fibonacci extension level of 2.272 and $143.94, which would be a 2.618 extension. The only way that oil returns to like sub $100 is if there's some kind of ceasefire, if there's some kind of peace proposal. But I think that the opposite is happening. I think that tonight will mark further escalation, unfortunately. More infrastructure strikes. And I'm hearing far too much discussion of nuclear usage for my liking. Just like various commentators bringing it up as a topic. Just saw Trump's interesting response. What did he say? Can you put it in the Discord or in the chat, please? I should probably just get Truth Social at this point, and at least that way you can keep up to date with the next out of pocket thing he's going to say. Right, so we have a Fibonacci price architecture for the timeline at various prices of oil. So if you're in these longs, these are some areas to consider. We're currently around this area at $112 to $115. On my MetaTrader right now, it's 115.6263. So closer to the war all-time high here. We then have the next leg up to 100, and we can round that upwards to $125, and then up to $145. This will become particularly relevant if the Houthis properly close off the Bab el Mandeb Strait. So that's the dual choke point scenario. I have released a video on this topic on the Capital and Conflict channel. And then there's $165, which is an extreme scenario priced in at a 3-month horizon for a theoretical ceiling, and that's a 3 extension on the fib. So you can see how much we've appreciated in an extremely short period of time. We've been bullish on oil throughout and dismissing any rhetoric that it's going to de-escalate and calm down, because, well, the permanent supply damage and the infrastructure strikes is suggesting that this is truly an existential conflict for Iran, and they are, I think, treating it as such, retaliating as such. But that is you don't want to be in an existential scenario, and I think the Russians, they see it the same way. So we are really, this is a very volatile conflict, and it seems to continue to spiral into further escalation. So we have 3 scenarios here, weighted according to their probability, based off of our the parameters that I've been working on tweaking within these fundamental analysis documents. I'm not saying like they're perfect just yet, but it's something that we're working on. So we'll see what happens. But option A with a 55% probability is that Trump follows through. This is the escalation path. So the infrastructure strikes on Iranian bridges, power plants, and Karg Island oil infrastructure. Iran then retaliates against Gulf desalination and oil, and then the Houthis enter from Yemen and close the Bab el Mandeb Strait through the Red Sea. At this stage, we can expect to see West Texas oil move more towards $118 to $130. With 40% of Russian exports already offline, there is no replacement supply. And then $150 or $145 becomes possible on that dual choke point activation. Scenario B, weighted with a 20% probability, is that there is a 5th extension. This is the phrase I was looking for in the beginning, extension. So he's extended it 4 times thus far, but we have a 20% probability that he extends for the 5th time, which, I mean, I would find unbelievable, but I guess I keep being shocked every few hours at this stage. So either way, if he does blink again, Trump will post a new deadline on Truth Social, and is likely to follow the similar pattern that it has been doing throughout the course of this conflict, which is to stall and then escalate over the weekend, and then just continue that kind of rhythm. Iran will then claim a diplomatic victory, and the IRGC continues selective passage regime through the Strait of Hormuz, their Tolmuth, uninterrupted. At this stage, we could see a slight retracement on oil, but to be honest, I would see that more as a re-entry opportunity rather than a reason to close. I am still I'm still confident that oil will continue to rise, and I still think that this is the very beginning of the troubles, unfortunately. So yeah, even if it does retrace, I would see that as a re-entry opportunity rather than like a reason to capitulate completely. Especially if we've got entries like sub $80, sub $90. There is reason, as we've seen, 40% of Russia's exports are offline as well, so no replacement supply there, or a vulnerable replacement supply. And then we have a deal. This is the most optimistic possibility, weighted at a 25% probability. So supposedly there are still talks being mediated through Pakistan. I have to say, I mean, I don't know how confident I would be in that. They keep escalating. They keep killing senior officials that would be able to like negotiate with any kind of authority. So yeah, really, I don't think Israel wants that whatsoever. This would be the best case for the global economy, though, which unfortunately seems like the least likely scenario. So we have Trump's quote, most extreme rhetoric of the entire war. A whole civilization will die tonight. By using genocidal adjacent language in public, in a public Truth Social post ahead of the deadline, he has burned the rhetorical off-ramp. He cannot extend tonight without looking weaker than at any previous extension. I don't even know what, I mean. So strikes probability have increased from 40% to 55%. Karg Island air defenses struck. ABC News confirmed via US official that overnight strikes hit the military targets only. Air defenses and IRGC naval positions, not oil infrastructure. This is the operational tell. You do not take down air defenses unless you intend to send strike packages through afterward. Reuters have confirmed that 2 million barrels per day of Russian export capacity has been halted by sustained Ukrainian drone strikes on various facilities and pipelines. Bloomberg measured a 43% week-on-week export collapse. Wow, this is getting exponentially worse. This is the primary trade here. We are long oil. And yeah, if you enjoy these documents and want more access to them, please feel free to join the Discord. There is a link all throughout the descriptions of videos. And now if we look at the markets, I've just added longs on gold and silver, which seem to be moving quite well already. I mean, just barely, but looking like it's moving in the right direction so far. So I've added some additional buys here on these two commodities. This is now an effort to start uh, like recovering the account, really, softening the drawdown. Held through the worst of it, and now looking to take some, even if they're just scalps on the way back up. But yeah, opened gold and silver position. I'm keeping oil for now. We'll see what happens tonight. I'm not adding anything to it just yet. But I do expect gold and silver to continue being bullish. So roughly $71 or even $70 on silver, and then $4,650 on gold. We will see. Looking at 4-hour head and shoulders on USD CHF. Yeah, we were discussing this in the morning. The only issue is how bullish USD CHF has been. I'm still leaning towards giving it the benefit of the doubt to still be bullish. I do see the pattern that you're talking about. I guess, I mean, tonight as well, this is both the US dollar and the Swiss franc safe haven currency. So depending on what happens tonight, this pair could be particularly exposed in comparison to other ones, or like volatile. Yes, Martin, it's 112. So Barry says, I doubt the deadline is bet. Market seems to already be pricing it in, though this current 2-hour closure might be too tempting to resist. We'll see how it closes. I mean, I want to agree with you, but at this stage, like, how do you price in a tweet like Trump sent on Sunday? How is that? How can you have priced that in, and how can you account for something that irrational and volatile and incendiary coming from the highest office of the land? Does that make sense? I don't know. That's like, at this stage, it's either scripted or nobody has, like, you. I can't think how any analyst is at a hedge fund or at some kind of trading house looking at that and like coming up with a rational way to look at it. I don't know. It's just, it kind of blows my mind that that's real. It's not even very classy, you know. If I was going to be a very powerful, crazy leader, I would at least be classy about it. Like evil villain, not doing like that. The thing is, he never follows through. He's like the poker player that goes all in every hand. Isn't that kind of a contradiction there? If he's the poker player that goes all in every hand, then he does follow through. I mean, I think that's just like I think the media is making a big deal of this, like Taco, and he doesn't follow through. I mean, his whole business life, he would have had to be a person that follows through and close deals. You don't become a politician without following through on things. I mean, say what you want, but Venezuela was it seems like a flawless operation, really. I think, you know, that's part of the issue, is that the reason that it was so flawless, it gave the Americans, and Trump in particular, a sense of hubris, and they thought that Iran would be the same thing, right? Because they just thought the decapitation strike, and then the Iranian citizens will rise up and be very grateful for their newfound freedom and democracy. That's why the first salvo of the war killed the Ayatollah, which is completely irrational, because killing him only immortalized him really for that, for the people, and just for the storyline, essentially. It's important where you are in the story. But yeah. NAS 100. We are looking at shorts here, just because on the weekly time frame, the price is now approaching, or it has already interacted with the 0.5, the golden zone of the fib, showing slight rejections already, but I think it's still too soon to go short. Fundamentally, I do want to short the NAS 100. I think the AI bubble is on its way out. I mean, unless there is some kind of non-conventional weapon that just somehow the usage of it just makes Iran capitulate, and then I don't know, like militarily, this is actually all over like very soon. Then at that stage, then I guess the American economy could still be salvaged, but I don't know how feasible that is. Maybe it would like coincide with the revealing of UFOs. Turns out all the UFO sightings were just advanced military like projects, and then the Americans use that in Iran, and then it's like aliens and Iran capitulation at the same time, and then it's global government because we need to fight back against the aliens. That's all the conspiracies wrapped into one. Just, I mean, there is a lot of evidence that those, like the vast majority of those drone sightings were just, like UFO sightings with drones. I mean, depending on how this NAS 100, this 8-hour candle closes, I do see the chance for at least a relatively short-term long, but it just throws that whole initial idea out the window. The reason that I'm looking at this is the inverse head and shoulders. Left shoulder, neckline, head, neckline now. So that would suggest the price returning to at least 24,950. Imagine Trump saying aliens came to help the US and Iran. Well, I mean, there are theories that they have been, or not theories, but, well, arguments that they've been hovering around lots of like nuclear sites and various missile facilities and army bases and things like that, like to intervene in case we like decide to blow up the whole planet because we're their experiment. And they live in deep underwater bases. That's why NASA, they stopped searching the oceans and instead like turned around and tried to get into space. We know more about space than we do about our oceans. Someone will have to fact check each of those statements. I think some of them are right. GU is looking good for a long. Israel probably nukes Iran and says they did it to show that aliens are power. I mean, at this stage, I don't even know. Chiming in while at work. Welcome, Leonardo. Do you think the Artemis 2 mission is real? Yeah, I think that one's real. I'm not too fussed about like space. I'm as in I appreciate the science behind space and rocket technology and exploring stars and planets. So the whole like space argument, I don't really have any good conspiracies about. I think possibly, the footage that was used on the original, like the Apollo missions, the one that was like the footage that was used as like evidence of, this is how we landed on the moon. Maybe not all of that is exactly like as it's being presented. Maybe some of it was shot in studios, but I do think that, yeah, like rockets and space exploration is real and all that kind of stuff. So, yeah. I would like to go to space one day. That's on my bucket list. Like space tourism. Good evening, Bruno. Thanks for joining. So you guys are looking at GU longs. I see the reasoning behind it. But why would they partially lie? I think because they had to beat the Russians or they had to create the perception that they won the space race. Therefore, like capitalism and the West is superior. As a basic argument. So they had to create the perception that the Americans had the superior system. So the footage was like doctored and kind of propagandized. But I do believe they went to space. All this NASA stuff seems a bit too far-fetched. I don't know. I think, like ancient civilizations, they didn't have the ability to to go into space, but they had a pretty good understanding of the stars and the astrology system and seasons and harvest cycles and things like that from like moon positionings, how to navigate. So, yeah, I think space is very much real and explorable. It's crazy that it is real and explorable. And the idea that we're the only life is perhaps more frightening than there being other alien life out there because, well, it's a huge place with essentially infinite different planets and constantly expanding and things like that. So it would be quite concerning if this experience is the only conscious experience there is. And what a strange one that would be. Doesn't really make any sense. But, yeah. I'm looking for USD CAD longs. GBP AUD is coming into a very nice higher low level now. I'm not really sure what I mean, if Trump is to be taken like literally, then surely tonight is Armageddon, because if Iran gets hit that badly, it's likely that Russia and China... I mean, I don't think that the rest of the world will just stand by, basically, at that stage. So, does it make sense to take any positions? But then famously people say, like, things just... I don't know, it's all like theater. But I don't... With, like, the permanent infrastructure or the permanent supply shocks and the infrastructure being damaged, I don't see... This is past the point of that. I think this has been past the point of that a long time ago. I mean, what's happening in Gaza is not... That's not theater, so... yeah, at this stage, I've got really no idea, because you've got the geopolitics and the objective reality And then you also have to try and decipher the narrative that's being spun at the same time. But this is the long on GBP AUD that I'm watching. If you were in a NAS short already, would you leave it open? That's quite a wick. I don't know, I think at least I'd go break even at this stage. That's a very sharp recovery. Yeah, I still think it's a bit too early to short the NAS. Yeah, if I was short, I wouldn't like the look of that personally. Looking for USD CAD longs. USD JPY has had a bullish response, as expected from that fib. It was the 0.382 retracement. But yeah, I didn't take it. I have added one silver position and one gold position. Added those today. I think it's pretty nice areas, just like structurally speaking, to be taking the trade here. You've got this upwards trend line, equal lows. And I think the vast majority of this was essentially manipulation, because the precious metals were selling off as the conflict was like really kind of becoming new. So it's a similar pattern to the 1973 oil embargo, where there was an initial sell-off before like a parabolic rise afterwards. So there was quite a sharp sell-off at first, but then the recovery was exponential. So Barry's on gold, Martin's on gold as well. I think it's a nice entry, to be honest. I don't have any qualms about adding here. I don't think it's a bad idea. GBP JPY head and shoulders on the daily time frame. No, I'm still. I would just be bullish against the yen on anything right now. They're going to get hit hard by this. Upwards of 80% of their oil they used to receive through the Strait of Hormuz, they've already released a significant portion of their reserves. Not to mention their demographic problem, the fertility problem. I don't know. I mean, that's probably farther down the line and not perhaps that relevant to their currency just yet. Sorry, that might have been a bit harsh. That's an issue for later down the line, but frankly, that's an issue in the vast majority of the world. The Japanese just have it particularly bad, so do the South Koreans. But either way, from an oil perspective, yes, they received upwards of 80% of it through here. You can see the corridors goes through the Strait of Malacca and then up through to Japan. That's why Singapore is so prosperous, perfectly positioned. I've been to Singapore a few times. I'm really worried about the situation. I have a trip to Spain planned for next week, but I think I'll wait and see what happens. I mean, I'd have to fly back afterwards, and if the energy infrastructure is seriously damaged, I suppose that could be a problem for returning, although I'm not entirely sure. I don't think it will happen that immediately, but by the end of summer, I mean, the main issue here is fertilizer, I think, really. I mean, air travel, we can live without, but fertilizer, lots of Africa and Asia won't survive. I mean, the reason that we're able to sustain such a large population at the moment is because we have fertilizer and significant amounts of it, and 1/3 of it has now stopped flowing. And it's currently moving into planting season. It's spring, right? So you can imagine what that's going to do for the next yields, for the next harvest. So that's really that's the primary concern here, I think, in terms of which resources are flowing. But if you're going within the next few weeks, I think it'd be okay. I'm planning to go to Bosnia in about a month. I mean, I am having similar thoughts to you though, like thinking that maybe if I get there, would I be able to come back, or what will international air travel look like in the summer, and etc. I mean, it can all collapse pretty quickly, right? There's lots of people stuck in the UAE and like various Gulf states. GBP JPY, I've been bullish on it from 210.3. At this stage, there is an hourly higher low that's forming. Yeah, I'm bullish against anything. Sorry, yeah, I'm bullish against the yen across like GBP JPY and USD JPY. Hello, Gary and Wanderer. Thanks for joining. In case you missed it, we've added gold and silver positions. We're just hypothesizing about what will happen tonight and over the next 24 hours. Trump is saying some very extreme things. Last resort, you could drive back from Bosnia. Oh, at least you could drive as a last resort. I guess so. Yeah. I do, well, yeah. Driving is a delicate subject for me. I bought a stock in agriculture, planting, fertilizer business a few weeks ago, up 13%, but only spot on a small amount. Nice. That's a great application of your fundamental analysis, Martin. That's a perfect example of how trading can be like chart reading could be a life skill, or interpreting charts, understanding financial markets. I mean, we've been talking also agriculture slash planting slash fertilizer. That does, I mean, that it makes complete sense, and that's what we've just been talking about. Also, there are gold mining stocks you could look into. From what I understand, the valuations of gold mining stocks haven't quite caught up to the recent surges in the value of gold, but that is likely to happen over time as they realize more profits from existing stores, and if they can increase their capacity or their output capacity. Also, long US tankers, so the ships, and also LNG was one that we got introduced to this morning. I haven't traded gas before, I will be honest, so I'm not going to try and speak on that subject as if I know what I'm talking about, but that has been introduced as a possible stock as well. US LNG supplies, because the Qatar output has been seriously degraded, with repair timelines estimated in years. So you're talking like relatively permanent like supply shocks. Why is driving a sensitive subject, if I may ask? Well, when I was my first car when I was like 19 was a Mercedes. This was like my dream car, and it was my first one. My pride and joy. It was black. It was more like this. So that's how my driving career started. And then after that, I got a Porsche when I was, I guess I would have been like 21 at this stage. It looked like this. Then I had that for about 3 months, and then I got involved in an interaction whereby I lost my driver's license. So I went from having 2 cars. Depending on my mood, I could go in the Mercedes if I wanted a bit more comfort, a bit more luxury, heated seats, nice soundproofing, insulated environment, great sound system. Or if I was feeling a bit crazy that day, I could hop in the Porsche. And then I blew all of that up, basically. So yeah, I mean, it was fun while it lasted. Those are the kind of memories that, you know, you can only be those ages once and do those kind of things once. So it is what it is. And I had to learn that lesson. So I probably would have ended up like doing some serious damage, either to myself or somebody else. So yeah. Not sure if I think I have shared that before, but no, I had really cool cars, really cool cars. It was too much, but I don't know, I just sent it. It was fun experience. Okay, well, I think I'll leave it there, everyone. The primary points: keep an eye out for the expiration of this deadline. And I've added the gold and silver positions. Those are the 2 things. I can redo my driver's license, but because of my age and just the insurance, basically, the insurance is like virtually impossible at that stage. When I first got the Mercedes, they quoted me £3,000 for the year, which, considering the car and my age and everything, it was my first car. It wasn't too bad of a price. And then I got one speeding ticket, and the quote changed from 3,000 for the year to 15,000. The value of the car was about 30,000 itself. So I thought the idea of paying half the value of the car for insurance is just crazy. But then I decided to buy the Porsche as some kind of solution. So I guess that's an even more ridiculous thing, is if you can't get suitable insurance, just buy an entirely new car. And then, yeah, within 3 months, I'd kind of lost access to that. So it was a roller coaster. You've been driving around Dubai? Yep. Thank you, Martin. All right. Thank you, everyone. I'm going to end it there before I... No, I'm joking. I think these stories are fine. It's as long as you take a lesson away from them. I mean, I've tried to take lessons away from them. And as long as you just don't do that stuff again, then This is how you learn things. That's what I've taken away from it. Okay. Thanks for joining, everyone. I hope you have a great day. I'm praying that this doesn't turn out in any kind of way that it sounds like it's going to turn out. But I didn't think it would be at this stage already. So I hope that the next time we talk, it won't be after what Trump has said has come true. Let's put it that way. Have a great rest of your day, everyone. Thank you very much for joining, and I'll see you all very soon.